The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived, I'll call to order this regular meeting of Keene City Council. This meeting is being broadcast live on Spectrum Channel 1302 and on YouTube. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you'd like to receive an electronic City Council packet to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the City Clerk's office and subscribe to the City Meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. I'd ask that the clerk please call the roll.
Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Michael J. Remy.
Here.
Michael Giacomo.
Here.
Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Philip M. Jones. Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chrissy Roberts.
Here.
Raleigh C. Umarad. Bettina A. Chadbourne. Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald. Kate M. Bosley. Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
Okay. Councilor Chadbourne, will you please lead us in the pledge? Okay, and regarding the minutes, I'm looking for a motion from Councilor Powers, a second by Councilor Greenwald, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move to adopt the September 21st minutes.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Greenwald. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. So we've got a few announcements. First off, the Source to Sea River cleanup was last Saturday. I understand that Marshall Davidson's class from Keene High School participated with 45 total volunteers, and they removed 1,500 pounds of trash from our rivers, which I think is a great accomplishment and is certainly going to help our environment and folks downstream. So thank you to Councilor Madison for bringing that to my attention and many other people in the community. The annual Fire Prevention Parade will be on Sunday, October 8th, 2023. Parade's going to start at 1 p.m. and the reviewing stand will be on Main Street at the intersection with Railroad Street. The parade will end at Keene Central Fire Station. Following that, the inspection dinner will be held on Thursday, October 12th at 6 p.m. on the apparatus floor of Keene Central Fire Station. The FOP committee for that evening will be canceled so that the council and staff can attend that dinner. That is a great annual event, and I encourage everybody to participate. Just as a reminder, the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee and the PLD meetings have been swapped for this month. MSFI will be on Wednesday, October 11th, and PLD will be on Wednesday, October 25th. Another reminder, the Wednesday, November 22nd MSFI meeting has been moved to Tuesday, November 21st. There are two issues that will require MSFI to meet that week. So pay close attention to your calendars. Finally, there will be a special meeting of the City Council on Thursday, November 9th at 5:45 p.m. And this is to canvass the votes, and this just has to do with the timing of the election and our meeting schedule. This will be a really brief meeting that will occur before the 6 p.m. start of FOP. So make time for that, please. And with that, I've got 3 proclamations tonight, so bear with me a little bit. I would like to, first off, I don't see the person that is here to accept the co-op month. Oh, okay, there we go. If you can join me up here, that would be great. Whereas the first National Co-op Month was celebrated in 1964 by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and has since been celebrated every October in the United States. And whereas cooperatives are businesses that are locally owned by everyday people who join together to achieve shared goals, solve a challenge, or meet a community need together. And whereas cooperatives are recognized in the laws and statutes of New Hampshire as member or user-owned, user-governed, and user-benefiting enterprises, giving people a real stake in their economy, in their economic destiny, and the future of their communities. And whereas cooperatives enable people to meet a wide variety of needs, goals, and aspirations, including healthy food, employment, farm products, financial services, electric, telephone and cable services, healthcare, housing, and insurance, in addition to EV charging stations, which are going in down there as we speak. Whereas in the United States, there are about 65,000 cooperatives, and 1 out of every 3 people is a member of at least one co-op or a credit union. Around the world, there are about 3 million cooperatives, and about 12% of the human population are members of a co-op. About 10% of the world's population, or around 280 million people, are employed by co-ops. And whereas the cooperative philosophy of working together for common good has promoted community well-being and improved the quality of life for the citizens of Keene and play a major role in our regional economy. Whereas the Monadnock Food Co-op is joining with other members of neighboring Food Co-op Association, of the Food Co-op Association, and endorsing Co-op Month in 2023. The theme established by the National Cooperative Business Association this year is Owning Our Identity, to lift up what makes co-op businesses unique in the marketplace. Guided by a set of shared principles and values, among them democracy, equity, and solidarity, co-ops are hardwired for economic and societal transformation. Now therefore, I, George S. Hansel, Mayor of the City of Keene, in the state of New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 to be Cooperative Month in the City of Keene, and we salute cooperatives and their members for their commitment to our community and the role they play in serving our citizens. In witness whereof, I herein do set my hand in the official seal of the City of Keene this 5th day of October, 2023. All right, thank you very much.
Microphone, turn it on.
This isn't on? Okay, now it should be good. Now, on behalf of the Friends of the Keene Public Library, I'd like to invite His Honor, former Mayor Kendall Lane. Whereas the Friends of the Keene Public Library play an important role in supporting the City of Keene's library and library staff in areas not funded by the city budget. And whereas the efforts of the Friends of the Keene Public Library include sponsorship of many enriching programs and special events open to the community, purchase of library equipment and furniture and passes to New England museums for use by individuals and families, as well as volunteer staffing to improve services. And whereas the fall book sale at the Keene Public Library, sponsored by the Friends since 1983, has helped to provide funding for these many activities, with all the purchases dictated by the wishes of the library staff. And whereas the fall book sale to be held Friday, October 20th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, October 21st from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., will allow the public to enjoy good quality, used hardback and paperback titles at bargain prices. And whereas this year, Sunday, October 22nd, the Friends are offering a special sale on Bag Day. Just buy a bag for $5 and you can fill it to the brim with all the books you can fit in that bag. Now therefore be it resolved that I, George S. Hansel, Mayor of the City of Keene, do hereby proclaim October 20th through October 22nd as Friends of the Keene Public Library Days, and I do urge all citizens in the Monadnock region to visit the fall book sale at the Keene Public Library in support of continued excellent library programs and facilities. In witness whereof, I herein do set my hand in the official seal of the City of Keene this 5th day of October, 2023.
Thank you, George. Thank you. This proclamation begins the process of putting together the book sale. This will be the second book sale we've had this year. We had one in April, and now we have this one. The book sale is really an opportunity for people within the community to have access to a large number of fairly recent books at a low cost, and an opportunity for them to support literacy within the community and also to support the library. So that I encourage not only everybody in this room, but everybody within the community to take advantage of this opportunity and take advantage of what the library has to offer. that it's a tremendous resource for this community, and the book sale, which helps support the library, is really an opportunity for people to get a good book. Winter's coming, it'll give you something to read. I encourage it. Thank you.
And now Parks and Rec Director, Facilities Director Andy Bohannon. Whereas Halloween trick-or-treating is a fun custom observed by many residents in the city of Keene, and whereas best practice has indicated that parents generally favor the late afternoon and early evening hours for trick-or-treat outings, both permitting greater visibility of and limiting the participation to younger children, whom the observance was originally intended. And whereas accidents are an ever-present possibility while young children are visiting door to door in their immediate neighborhoods, displaying their costumes and requesting treats. Now therefore I, George S. Hansel, Mayor of the City of Keene, do hereby proclaim that Tuesday, October 31st shall be known as Trick or Treat Day in Keene. And I ask that children and parents cooperate in limiting trick or treat time to the period between 5:30 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. I also ask that parents or other responsible adults accompany young children. I further request that householders indicate their willingness to welcome children by keeping their porch or exterior lights on, and that the youngsters only call on homes that are lit. Finally, I encourage the cooperation of citizens, young and old, to make this a happy and safe occasion for all. Trick or treat. In witness whereof, I hereundo set my hand in the official seal of the City of Keene this 5th day of October 2023.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just encourage everybody to think safety on this night, because it's always a dark time with lights from the different houses that they can attend. But I know our police force is out and about checking things, and fire department as well. So it's a great night to go back to being a kid, and just remember to be safe at all times and wear bright costumes and take care of the young ones. So thank you and have a great trick or treat.
Trick or treat. All right, back to our regular agenda. I would ask the clerk to read the notice of our first public hearing tonight.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held to consider ordinance O 2023-13 submitted by JRR Properties LLC and the Monadnock Conservancy. The ordinance proposes to amend the zoning map for a 3.53 acre parcel of land located at 0 Ashwillet Street. The full text of the ordinance is available for public review during regular business hours of the clerk or by visiting the Keene Public Notices on our website. Per order of the mayor and councilors of the city of Keene, the 7th day of September, 2023.
Okay, so I'd recognize Tara Kessler, a planner paralegal on behalf of the applicant, and I believe Evan Clements, maybe on behalf of the city. You want to start us out, Evan?
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. Evan Clements, planner. I'll let Tara do the full explanation of what's going on this evening in regards to this ordinance. I'll just very briefly go over where we've been so far. So the first reading of this proposed zoning map change took place before City Council on July 20th. It was then referred to the joint PLD Planning Board Committee for a workshop. At the workshop on August 14th, 3 members of the public spoke in regards to this proposal. All 3 spoke in favor of the application. The planning board did vote to find that the proposal meets the intents of the master plan, and PLD did vote to recommend that the mayor set a date for the public hearing, and here we are this evening. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, but like I said, Tara will be able to give you all the details of this application.
Any immediate questions for staff? Okay, Tara.
Good evening. I'm Tara Kessler, a planner paralegal for BCM Environmental and Land Law. And our firm represents the owners of the property that's subject to this rezoning request and the applicants. That's JRR Properties LLC and the Monadnock Conservancy. The proposal before you this evening is to rezone an undeveloped parcel of land on Ashwillet Street from its current zoning designation in the High Density District to the Commerce District. So this 3.5 acre parcel is located near the intersection of West Street and Ashwillet Street, and it was once used by the former Colony Mill Marketplace as overflow parking. The current owners purchased the property in 2013 with the goal of converting it into a community park, and that continues to be their intention. You may remember last year, the City Council voted to accept the owner's donation of 2.5 acres of this lot to be used by the city as a park space. The remaining 1 acre of the lot is intended to be subdivided and gifted to the Monadnock Conservancy for use of it to build a net zero energy building for its regional headquarters and for conservation education. And also the Conservancy intends to construct both ground-mounted and roof-mounted solar energy systems on this lot, and perhaps even roof-mounted solar systems on carports. And the reason we're seeking this rezoning is to enable those proposed uses to occur, which currently are not allowed in the High Density District. So the High Density District does not permit office uses or solar energy systems to be allowed as the main use of a lot, nor does it allow for more than one primary use in a lot or mixed-use development. Rezoning the parcel to the Commerce District, which is immediately adjacent to the south, would enable opportunities for mixed-use development and sustainable development, which is aligned with the city's master plan goals for this neighborhood. So in the master plan, Ashwillet Street is identified as a neighborhood that supports a mixture of office and commercial uses that transition to residential uses, as well as trail and open space amenities. The master plan also supports sustainable development, including renewable energy systems. And right now, the lot being in the High Density District prohibits solar energy uses to occur. But those uses would be allowed in the Commerce District. So historically, this parcel was located in the Central Business Limited District. And it wasn't until 2021 with the Land Use Code update that the parcel was converted to the High Density District. So at the time, the city was eliminating the Central Business Limited District as part of the downtown rezoning effort, and it gave the property owner the option to choose between High Density, which is to the north of the parcel, or Commerce, which is to the south of the parcel. The owner wanted to preserve the option for residential development. At that time, the Commerce District didn't allow for residential uses. And as you may know, the code was recently amended to allow for some residential use activity to occur in that district. However, also at the time, it was the intent of the owner to gift a large portion of that lot to the city to be used as a park space. That's something that's been underway for many years now. It wasn't until 2022 that the owners of the lot started serious conversations with the Monadnock Conservancy about the use of the land for its headquarters space. I would note that the parcel itself has more than sufficient land area to accommodate the minimum lot size requirements for the Commerce District. There will still be the option for residential uses to occur if it were to be rezoned to Commerce. It's adjacent to existing commercial uses, including the Mascoma Bank Plaza and the mixed-use building where Target Dry Cleaners is. There's city water and sewer that serves the lot, and there's easy vehicular access to West Street. Also, most of the parcel is in the 100-year floodplain and is subject to the city's floodplain regulations. There is a small portion of the lot that is outside of the floodplain, and it's in the northeast corner of the parcel, and that's the location where the Conservancy intends to build its building so that it would be outside the floodplain as much as possible. So overall, we feel that this zone change would enhance opportunities for mixed-use development and renewable energy in an area where commercial uses up until recently had been allowed, and also where the master plan encourages this type of mixed-use activity and sustainable development to occur. So I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have, and I thank you for your time.
Any questions? Councilor Greenwald.
I believe I spoke to this previously, and I go back long enough to remember, and my light's on, a proposal to put up housing several large housing buildings. And we keep hearing housing, housing, housing. We need housing. Has the property owners considered that that is a real need and that the high-density zoning right now would allow multi-story housing, which we need? Personally, I'm a little more in favor of housing than solar fields or an office for, the Conservancy. And it would be possible, and I believe I spoke to this, that there could be housing with access to the river, environmentally good. And I'm just a little disappointed to see that this is moving in the direction away from housing. So has that been considered?
So I can note that at the time when the land use code update was underway, the choice to select high density was for the option of residential development, and there was, I think, exploration into having a portion of the parcel be used for housing purposes. And that plan's changed, and the owners think that the Monadnock Conservancy proposal will be a boost to the neighborhood. The net zero energy building they're planning to construct would have space for community education, and I think it would be an exemplary building for the region. I understand that there is a need for housing. I think the neighborhood has, and you may hear from residents of this neighborhood tonight, has an interest in amenities like open space and like the use the Monadnock Conservancy is proposing there. So
Yes.
Okay, just a brief follow-up, and I may as well just vent. I'm more interested in the housing and the taxpayer, tax revenue. And with the Conservancy, this whole thing is going to be non-tax paying. It's not going to produce housing, it's just going to be open space. We've got a lot of open space, but I'm 1 out of 15, so. On the other hand, I also think that a landowner has the right to do what he wants with his property, so
okay,
good luck.
thanks.
Further questions? Yes, Counselor Giacomo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just as a clarification, since I was part of PLD, so we were at the joint committee on this, that this is a vote on the change from high density to commercial. It's not the specific uses of the location. So just as a clarification to everyone, that lest you forget that, that's what we're voting on tonight, is that. And with the updates to the ordinance that we set in last year, 2 years ago, we now allow the 1 to 4, one level of commerce, and then the 4 levels residential in the commerce district now. So it actually can go about as high with a commercial district now as you can with a residential. I understand that one is a little more specific to residential. It has, it has it in the name even. But I think the opportunity, if something was to happen down the road, if the Conservancy was to fall through and we were to turn that parcel, there would be as much opportunity with this to still do some housing in there if they wanted to. The floodplain would complicate that, but the floodplain doesn't care what it's zoned as. Just zoned as floodplain. So, thank you.
And just a further clarification, this is the public hearing, no votes on this tonight. It's going to end up going to planning licenses and development for more discussion if it moves ahead. Any further questions from city councilors? Yes, Councilor Williams?
Just want to echo Mitch's concern. This city desperately needs housing. It's going to be a nice open space, but it's right next to a big open space in Ashwila Park. It would be nice if people were living in apartments right next to that big open space.
All right, thank you. Further comments from the council? Okay, are you all set, Tara?
I am, thank you.
I'm going to open up the public portion of this public hearing, and if anyone would like to testify on this, please do come forward. Yes. Go to one of the microphones and just state your name and address for the minute taker, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Owens. I'm the executive director of the Monadnock Conservancy. I live in Walpole, but we're based right here at 15 Eagle Court in Keene. If I may, I'd like to start by reading a letter of support that was just recently received, has been submitted to the city clerk, but probably hasn't been seen, or, well, some people do have it already, but I'll read it into the record if I may. This is from Emily Haig, who's a property owner on Ashwillet Street and a butter to Zero Ashwillet, and some of you longer-serving council members will probably remember serving alongside Emily on this council. She writes, "Dear Mayor and City Council, as the owner of property at 92 Ashwillet Street, I am writing to express my support for the proposed zoning change for the parcel at 0 Ashwillet Street from high-density residential to commerce. Such a change would facilitate the conversion of the parcel from vacant space to a vibrant space for recreation, education, and office uses. I have reviewed the application to amend the zoning map, and the proposed uses seem appropriate and compatible with existing and future uses in the vicinity. In addition, the proposed uses are consistent with approved uses under the pre-2021 zoning designation for the property. Creating small-scale sustainable commercial space and adding play and gathering spaces to Ashwillet River Park seems like the perfect mix of uses for a property that is largely floodplain. I hope you will find that this application is in keeping with the comprehensive master plan and approve it. With best regards, Emily Haig. And now I just want to share a little bit of background about the Monadnock Conservancy as a co-applicant to this. I know, as Councilor Giacomo said, you're only considering the zoning change itself and not the intended near-term uses, but I thought some background would nevertheless be helpful. So the Monadnock Conservancy is a 34-year-old land conservation trust serving the greater Monadnock region, and for most of that history, we've been headquartered right here in Keene. Our mission is to work with communities and landowners to conserve the natural resources, wild and working lands, rural character, and scenic beauty of the Monadnock region. We care for our conservation lands, and we engage people in ways that strengthen their communities and their connections to the land. We do this work, of course, for the benefit of wildlife and plants and nature, but ultimately we do this work for people. Because for all of us, our quality of life, we believe, is inextricably linked to the natural landscape around us. And we do this work, we accomplish our mission primarily through the acquisition of land and conservation easements on forests, farmlands, and wetlands. And we've conserved approximately 23,000 acres across the region, including thousands of acres on Keene's West Hill, extending southwest toward Pisgah State Park, and extending north from the greater Goose Pond Forest. We've also partnered with the city and Pathways for Keene as a funder of the ongoing expansion and enhancement of the city's bicycle and pedestrian trail network, excuse me. We're doing well, but we're currently limited by our current rented space. We've outgrown it, and maybe even more importantly, the layout and the location are not conducive to engaging the public in our work and connecting them more to the land and to nature. This location, if rezoned, though, would enable us to, if we can build our building, connect with the public and serve as a linkage between the open space of the hopefully expanded park and the greater landscape of the Monadnock region. It'll also enable us to demonstrate our values and help achieve the city's clean energy goals through the green design of the building and the solar installation. So thank you all for your consideration, and I'm also happy to answer any questions too.
Thank you. Would anyone else? Yes?
Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Headings, last name spelled Headings, and my address is 15 Ashwillet Court. So as you can tell by the address, obviously I've been keeping a close eye on this because literally when I look out my living room windows, I see what was the parking lot and is now a green space. So I've resided on Ashwillet Court. I'm a tenant. I rent my home there for just over 9 years. So I'm very familiar with this parcel of land that we're discussing this evening. And as I said, it's literally right outside my front door. We have the road, and then there's a tree line with the property line. Ashwillet Court, if you're not familiar, is a small private road that's just north of the land parcel. And our road dead ends to a tree line with the river trail. There's a tree line kind of dense, and then from there is the river trail. And then north of me, so behind my house backyard, is then the city housing that we have on Castle Street. Again, just trying to give you perspective that there's quite a bit of housing in the neighborhood already. Also, just to give you placement on the staff report of the ordinance proposal, my home is noted in Figure 2 as property number 4 in the medium density zone. Little side note, the homes on our court, back in the days when the Colony Mill was a working mill, those homes are all still original, were the manager's homes for the Colony Mill back in the day. I still have the slate roof, which is pretty cool. And I come before the City Council tonight with the ability to share insights into this land parcel over the past 9 years, how the neighborhood interacts with it, and the future vision of this land if the zoning change were approved and then the proposed use for that land. I'm 100% in support of this zoning map change from a high-density zone to a commercial district zone. I shared this same support when the zoning change was presented to the Joint Committee of the Planning Board and the PLD Committee on August 14th. So I was one of those 3 members of the public that was mentioned by the previous speaker. This land was once a very beat-up and abandoned parking lot when I first moved in to my home. And it was an eyesore, to say the least. Just to give you a little insight, it was at the time, until it became the green space so the grass could grow, was a very accessible cut-through for all of us in the neighborhood to easily access the park, the river trail, the bridge, and then, obviously a quick shortcut to get to all things on West Street. It's obviously been a huge improvement to have the area cleaned up in 2021, I believe is when it was done. And as I said, it's now a beautiful grassy space. And it's really nice to see this when I look out my windows. And it also gives me a hint at the potential of what this space can be for our neighborhood, City of Keene residents, and also out-of-town visitors. Obviously, the park and the river trail right now is one of our unique spaces that for folks that visit our area find an attractive place. Councilman Greenwald, you had mentioned your concerns about, housing, and I think Councilman Giacomo, you did the same. Let me say that I too, for years, have been very concerned about our housing shortage here. I'm a renter, so obviously I feel that even more closely, right? Renting, just as much as owning, is a challenge here. However, if that zoning were to remain as high density, and I already had this in my prepared comments, but I wanted to add more to it, it does put that, if it remains as a high density zone, it puts the land at risk for housing development that would restrict neighborhood access to the river for us in the neighborhoods. In addition, added housing would increase noise levels, traffic, and population density that would hurt the environment and the animals in that area. If you're not familiar already, again, we've got quite a bit of housing and residential area there, but Ashwat Street is also a major shortcut. If you're traveling eastbound on West Street, and let's say you want to get over to Court Street, we're a cut-through to bypass downtown. We also already have quite a bit of pedestrian traffic, bicycle, folks in wheelchairs, again, because of the housing on the other side of me. So I understand and agree with both councilmen about the concerns for our housing shortages, but I strongly disagree that this parcel of land be developed for more housing. It just could not handle the impact of that with more residents on top of it. The proximity of this land parcel to nature necessitates a future that's kind to the neighborhood, nature, and benefits all of the residents of Keene, not just those who, should they build housing, end up in that space. If the zoning change is approved, the proposed use of the land parcel for the Monadnock Conservancy in a future park is a great use of this space. It aligns with honoring the nature of the area and makes it inclusive and accessible for all residents. The future and plans include a solar array, which in my opinion is the icing on the cake to support the environment of this neighborhood. Should the zoning get approved, and then should the future plans for this parcel be approved? Again, personally, as a resident, And I think the Conservancy would also be a good neighbor where it's a low impact to that space. So I ask the City Council this evening to support the zoning change. It's a good and right thing to do. And I think it's just, again, knowing the history of that land back when it was, part of the Colony Mill. Let's be good stewards to our history and to that land. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
Good evening. My name is Diane Matthews. I'm representing the Friends of the Arboretum at Asheville River Park. I'm here to go on record with our support for the Monadnock Conservancy's application to rezone the lot abutting the park, high-density residential to commercial. We are currently in a position to having the park become a major player in conservation education for the city of Keene. The Friends are restoring the beds surrounding the trees with native plants, and the advisory board intends to reopen the Rachel Marshall area across the bridge for outdoor education. We think building a relationship with the Monadnock Conservancy will further our shared goals of community interaction, be it a nature walk, a natural playground, a kayak launch, or a community garden, and is a positive move towards strengthening a connection to each of our master plans, the city's, the Conservancy's, and Ashwillett Park's master plan. The Ashwillett River Park's vision states, "The Ashwillett River Park shall be a place of beauty and social events for the enjoyment and education of the community, bringing further individuals and organizations with an interest in maintaining the park for future generations. We would welcome the Monadnock Conservancy as a neighbor and a partner who share the same vision of the park's future. The Friends are in favor of the zoning change to the 0 Ashwillett Park street parcel." Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing except for written public comments, which shall be accepted up until 1 p.m. on Tuesday, October 24th. Written comments must be signed and submitted to the city clerk by that date and time to be included in the record. The ordinance will be before the Planning Licenses and Development Committee meeting, which will be held on October 25th of this year. Next, we have confirmation, number 1.
This evening, we're confirming the mayor's nominations to the Energy and Climate Committee. It is for Elisa Maxfield with a term to expire December 31, 2024. She's actually currently an alternate and moving up to regular membership, and a Michael Winograd to serve as an alternate with a term to expire December 31, 2026.
Council Powers for a motion, Councilor Greenwald for a second, please.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. I would move to confirm the nominations as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Greenwald. Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Lake,
Yes.
Counselor Remy,
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo.
Yes.
And Counselor Filio.
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
and Counselor Madison.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne.
Yes.
Counselor Workman.
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald.
Yes.
Counselor Powers.
Yes.
And they are approved, confirmed. Number 2.
This is a nomination from the mayor for a Kenneth Cost to shift his membership on the planning board from an alternate to a regular membership. It was realized this evening that the slot suggested for Mr. Cost won't be available with a resignation until later in December, so I believe we're suggesting this be tabled to December 21.
And I will table it to the first meeting to the December 21st meeting of the city council, when that slot has been opened up through the resignation. Communications, number 1.
This is a communication from Chuck Redfern. He identifies it as a call for action for drug abuse in public spaces.
And so I understand that there have been already some informal conversations with Senator Fenton about legislation to the effect of what is being recommended here. And so I'm going to refer this to planning licenses and development, where the city council can take up the issue of whether they want to support any proposed legislation at the state level. Number 2.
And coming out of the council's workshop on council goals, memorandum from the mayor, which identifies the agreed-upon proposed 2023 council goals that originated from that workshop.
We had a good council goals workshop, I thought. I want to thank the city manager and all the staff members that participated in that. I think it was a great, robust discussion. Not a lot of change to the goals necessarily, but I think good discussion and a good time for the council to kind of come together in a more informal way and talk about how they want to move forward. So I would be looking for us to approve these goals tonight if the council feels they're ready to do that. And I'd be looking for a motion from Councilor Powers and a second by Councilor Greenwald, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to adopt the proposed 2023 council goals.
A motion by Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Greenwald. Councilor Powers, you have anything to add?
Well, I think you summarized the couple of hours of a lot of dialogue, a lot of activity by council members and several public members. The staff was very supportive in keeping us on a good program and making sure we achieved the goal that we had when we went in there. We even allowed a second night as a possibility if we needed to. But what we did is kind of cleaned up what we currently have and have worked from for the last couple of years, dropped off those things that we've accomplished and added a few more goals that are in line with what we need to do and want to do over the course of the next couple of years. There's very little discussion that we shouldn't be doing in this particular one or that particular one. I think we're pretty much aligned and recommended that this come to the full council for adoption. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. And we have number 3.
Another communication from the mayor, this one relative to an amendment to the Land Development Code for charitable gaming facilities.
And so the draft ordinance amendment was not ready for this agenda, so I'm going to table my communication to the October 19th agenda when we'll have that draft ordinance ready. The next 4 items we'll take together, I believe.
Well, can I apologize first?
Yeah.
This always happens during my election season. So you have a communication from a David Orgaz, a resignation from the planning board. It's actually on your agenda twice. I'm so sorry. We had discussions internally as to whether it ought to be a communication or report on behalf of the 4th floor, and we did both. So we'll continue to hold on and have it under boards and reports from boards and, city officers and departments, and apologize for that.
All right, thank you. So we'll take the committee reports together, I believe.
Yes, the first 4 committee reports dealing update on the sidewalk asset management program, the installation of a sidewalk on Arch Street between Hurricane Road and Felt Road, the reconstruction of the New Hampshire Route 101 from east of Aptical Avenue to Branch Road. That was actually a presentation. And the annual report from Fact TV. Those are all informational reports.
All right, thank you, and we will accept those as informational, which brings us to number 5.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a waiver of bid for the 2023 audit engagement letter. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to waive bidding requirements under Section 2-1336 for the 2023 City of Keene Annual Audit Engagement and authorize the city manager to sign the engagement letter with Markham LLP.
Council Powers for a motion, Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
We were joined with the finance director to explain why we are talking about what is commonly referred to as a waiver of the bid process. Our auditors have been with us for a number of years. In fact, I think it's like, well, they started in 2009. very good firm. We've been very pleased with them. This has gone out as an RFP twice, and they have been the most responsive bidder, and we've continued to work with them well. I know over the times that I've been on finance, they've come up with some real good recommendations that were kind of not felt to be necessary in the past, but once you understand what they're telling us and how we're writing our audit reports, it's very important that they take the time to work with us. Their firm has been sold, therefore, they are a little bit of a different company, but the nice thing about it is the staff is staying, and they're staying in New Hampshire, but they're growing. So to ask them to, a new company to begin this process while we're trying to finish up the current year that just ended, while we're changing software, is not very wise. I'm sure they could get it done, but that's a lot of work, there's a lot of changes, a lot of moving parts. So the recommendation to the city manager from the finance director is that we renew our contract with them for one more year, that they finish up. And if they wish to compete for the next go-around for an RFP, that will be doing the 2024 audit, that's probably what will happen. But we'd like to, in effect, waive the bidding process and allow the manager to sign a contract with Markham LLP, the new name of really the same staff as the past. Finance Committee voted unanimously to do this, and I hope the council will do the same. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 6.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to acceptance of a FAA AIP grant for the Airport Taxiway A reconstruction project. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept, execute, and expend grant funding for the amount of $3,102,257 from the Federal Aviation Administration Airport Improvement Program for the Taxiway A reconstruction project.
Looking at Council Powers for a motion. Councilor Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
So this is a federally funded project down at the airport. If you recall, we've seen this before. We've been at it for the particular work that's really needed at Taxiway A, the reconstruction. Went out to bid. We received an award, accepted a grant from the Federal Aviation Administration prior, but it went out to bid. The price was high. The contractor that gave us the best bid, the most receptive bid to us, then backed out of it. So the process just went on and on and on, and the price increased as usual. So what essentially was done by the staff is they re-project this thing together, went back to FAA and said, hey, we need to do this, as they well know, because they've approved the project in the past. Can you fund it at the current level, which they have done, and that's in the process. So now we need to be able to accept that money, give the manager the authority to expend the grant at the new amount of $3,102,257. And in the next motion that you get, we'll be actually putting all the money together and spending it. So FOP unanimously approved this. I hope you'll do the same.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 7.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to the engineering agreement for the Taxiway A reconstruction project. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to execute a professional engineering services contract with McFarland Johnson for the construction and administration of the Taxiway A reconstruction project.
Councilor Powers for a motion. Councilor Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second. We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
So the second step of this process, as long as we now have the funding coming through and the project's been approved, FAA requirements and really good practices to have a third party supervise the construction. As you know, McFarland Johnson is our engineering firm of record for the airport. They're well-versed in aircraft work, and taxiways, et cetera. So it's the right selection, and it's the right person to be working with this particular project. The pricing of this part of the project changed a little bit over the time that this has been put together as we changed engineers, and the FAA requires us to do a certain amount of work by the engineering firm. The work that was done to prep up to that wasn't there, so they had to spend more time. And essentially, it's a little more money than the prior, but it's mostly cost covered by the FAA for these costs. So FOP recommends unanimously that be authorized to have this contract with McFarland Johnson, and this project will get moving along. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. City Manager.
Just one update for you this evening, and it's an exciting one. I want to publicly congratulate our very own Beth Fox, sitting in the back, hiding in the corner over there. She was selected for one of this year's Extraordinary Woman Awards. And yeah, Beth is a committed leader in public service through both her work and her volunteer life. And if you don't know her history, I'll give you just a little bit. She began her municipal career in the town of Greenfield, where she served for 3 years before becoming the first town administrator of Swansea. See, I didn't know that she was the first. She served Swansea community for 25 years. She's been with us here at the City of Keene for the past 11 years. In 2019, at the International City Managers Conference, she was recognized for reaching her 35th year in municipal service. In addition to her work for our community, she has been involved with the Elm City Rotary, the DeMar Marathon. She's a current member of the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority and has served on the Southwestern Community Services Board, Southwest Regional Brownfields Committee, Endowment for Health Advisory Committee, and the Health Trust Board of Trustees. She is the former president and current member of the executive board of the New Hampshire Municipal Managers Association. So she is very much deserving of this recognition, and we are lucky to have her on our team, and I'd love to give her a round of applause.
Great, thank you very much. This brings us to City Department reports. Number 1.
This is a memorandum from the Assistant City Manager, Public Works Director. It is relative to a request from Roger Weinrich to have a block party during the Pumpkin Festival, just sort of immediately adjacent to the existing footprint. There was discussions with protocol team members and some representatives from the Pumpkin Festival. And there was a concern expressed about the ability of the police department to provide adequate security and safety for both of these events. And in that discussion, Mr. Weinreich acknowledged that perhaps this year is not the right year. He'd like to see it perhaps in another year, but he withdrew his request for consideration for this year's Pumpkin Festival.
Thank you. I'll accept the withdrawal, and we'll file that communication as informational. This brings us to board and commission reports. Number 1.
This is a nomination from the planning board. We don't often have these. Most of our nominations are from the mayor, but this Southwest Regional Planning Commission does, by statute, have the nomination process start with the planning board. And so this is a nomination for Kenneth Cost to serve as a Southwest Regional Planning Commissioner, and it is before you for action.
And so, Councilor Powers, I'm looking for a motion. Councilor Greenwald for a second, please.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. I move to confirm the nomination from the planning board with a term to expire December 31st, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Greenwald. Councilor Powers, do you wish to speak to this at all, or?
If my memory serves me, this is a member of that commission, and we make the recommendation to them, and it's involved, and I believe we have three
members.
positions, so we're well represented. And the planning board has vetted him, and he's ready to go.
And some of these positions we've left vacant at times, so I hope we'll approve it so we can have the full amount of representation that we are allotted. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor?
May I ask for a roll call just for the record?
Okay.
So this would be Kenneth Koss, Southwest Regional Planning Commission, December 31, 2027. Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
And Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
And Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
And Counselor Chad Bourne?
Yes.
And Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald? And Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so that's unanimous. They are confirmed. Number 2.
This is the communication that was previously on your agenda, so it is the resignation from David Argaz. He's indicating December 18th. He wants to serve on the planning board until December 18th, so this would be a resignation that would be effective December 19th.
Council Powers for a motion, Council Greenwald for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the resignation effective December 19th, 2023, from David Orgaz with regret and appreciation for his service.
Second.
A motion for Council Powers, seconded by Council Greenwald. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Now, we have one item for more time. More time will be granted, which brings us to resolutions. Number 1.
Memorandum from our Assistant City Manager, Human Resources Director, along with, my page, Resolution R 2023-33, a resolution in appreciation of John Arthur Coons upon his retirement.
Councilor Powers for a motion, Councilor Greenwald for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move to adopt Resolution 2023-33.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Greenwald. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is in appreciation of John Arthur Coons upon his retirement. 30 years working for the city of Keene is, that's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work when you deal with snow, you know, half the year that you work. And John's been, I guess, the whole time in what used to be called the road department. And it moved on, we changed the title. But essentially, a highway section, and most principally for him, downtown. He's been the lead person when it comes time to clean up the snow that's been piled up, getting in the way of everything else. His crew comes in about midnight and has it spotless by 6 o'clock in the morning. He's come up with a number of different innovative ways to deal with it, to keep everybody busy and safe and having it really looking great at downtown. Now, there is somebody that supervises him that comes up with different things. You'll know when I say this is a strange statistic, but the guy has seen 102 feet of snow in his career. Thanks, Court. I needed that little tidbit. John's a guy who gets along with everyone, you know. You may not, again, I hope these folks will come and see you and get their proclamation, but, you know, when you do see him, recognize, oh, yeah, I remember him. But 30 years he's been working for the city. Just a great guy. We wish him well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 2.
Second memorandum from the Assistant City Manager, Human Resources Director. This one is regarding another retirement, and it is Resolution R 2023-35, a resolution in appreciation of Edward C. Sweeney upon his retirement.
Councilor Powers for motion, Councilor Greenwald for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd move for the adoption of Resolution 2023-35.
Second.
Councilor Powers with the motion, Councilor Greenwald with the second, Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Your Honor. In appreciation of Edward C. Sweeney. How many people know him by Edward? Huh? I've been here 36 years, and I always thought he was just Chuck. But anybody who's lived in the city or been around the city for his entire life, he's been here and a member of the city. He's held a number of positions. He's been at Keene State. He's been in the school system. If you're into athletics and you went to a gym, he had one of those for a little bit. Got a very active sporting family. His wife was a member of the school district. And about 15 years ago, applied here. And Brian Mattson would always tell me that, man, I'm glad he was around because that was a tough position to fill. And now Andy's gonna have the same problem, trying to fill the job that Chuck has done for this city. He's the kind of guy that there's no end to the workday. You know, the job's gotta be done. And particularly when you're dealing with the cemetery, things are happening. He was always able to make everything work flawlessly, deal with the families who were dealing with these things that have just come up in the worst of times. He's just a great, great worker. He's a good member of the community. He also happens to be the proud father-in-law of a police officer. So, you know, there's a lot of citizenship in that family. So when you see him, we're not sure we can get him in here, but I think I'll figure that one out. I'll drag him down here somehow. Please, give him the best. I'm sure he's gonna find something to do in his spare time.
Thank you. Further comments? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 3.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to the Keene Roadway Safety Action Plan Project Grant Acceptance and Consultant Selection. And with that as a sub-agenda item is a memorandum from the city engineer with Resolution R 2023-36. We start off on a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization. Actually, Mayor, should you explain? Thank you.
Yeah, so there are 3 recommendations here in this FOP report, and we're going to facilitate this discussion by considering each one individually. And regarding paragraph 1, that refers specifically to the resolution, which is going to be introduced immediately after this report's considered. So I'm going to file that recommendation. And then regarding recommendation number 2, I'm looking at Councilor Powers for a motion and Councilor Remy for a second.
And if I might read the motion?
Yep.
Thank you. On a vote of 5-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and execute a Safe Streets and Roads for All planning grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation in the amount of $350,000. It says federal share.
Councilor Powers and Councilor Remy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move to carry out the intent of the second recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
So this does have a lot of moving parts, but essentially, we've had an opportunity to get a United States Department of Transportation grant to help us review our roads for safety. And it's a long and entailed process, and it's come about fairly quickly, so that's why we're bringing it in with us not meeting next week, bringing in the final part so that we can get the money flowing, the most important part of it. So it's a DOT grant with $350,000 and 20% match for us. So the first thing we're doing here is to authorize the manager to do all things necessary to accept and execute a Safe Streets and Roads All Planning Grant.
Thank you. And it's been brought to my attention that we need to add the word expend to the motion. So I'm looking to Councilor Powers to give me a on-the-fly amendment with a second by Councilor Remy, please.
So I would amend our recommendation to have the word expend added.
Second. I was
So
trying to think of how that would work.
So we have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy, and if we can have someone read what's being proposed.
Recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept, execute, and expend a Safe Streets and Roads for All planning grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation in the amount of $350,000.
Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote on the amendment? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous, so you've got an amended motion in front of you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you. And that brings us to recommendation number 3, and
On a-
Patty?
On a vote of 5 to 0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with Vanessa Hagen Bruceland, Inc., for the Keene Roadway Safety Action Plan project for an amount not to exceed $437,500. And if an agreement cannot be reached with VHB, that the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute an agreement with the next highest ranked firm.
Council Powers for motion, Council Remy for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
We have a motion from Council Powers, seconded by Council Remy. Council Powers.
So this is the next step in this process to work towards our program. And city staff put out a RFQ. Had a couple of engineering firms take a look at it, and they've selected VHB. Well-seasoned in this particular type of work, worked closely with the state, and that's where most of our information is gonna come from. And they'll be able to give us a program that we hope will be acceptable to the feds, and they'll have the funding move forward. So we unanimously recommended this be accepted by the city council and that you approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. And so subsequent to the FOP meeting, city staff has introduced a memorandum and resolution R-2023-36. And so, as indicated on the memo, city staff is requesting that the rules of order be suspended to waive the second reading of the resolution and act on it tonight. So I'd ask the clerk to read that for us.
Resolution R 2023-36, a resolution relating to the appropriation of funds for the Keene Roadway Safety Action Plan project.
I'd ask that Councilor Powers give us a motion to suspend the rules, seconded by Councilor Greenwald, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to suspend Section 27 of the Rules of Order to act upon Resolution R 2023-36.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Greenwald. Any discussion on suspending the rules? Seeing none, this does require a roll call vote. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
And the rules are suspended. I'm looking at Councilor Powers once again for a motion to adopt R-2023-26, and a second by Councilor Remy.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move for the adoption of Resolution 2023-36.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers.
So this is the money, our portion of the money. So this resolution will move the 20% match, $87,500, from the general fund unassigned fund balance to the Keene Roadway Safety Action Plan project.
Excellent. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Remy.
There's just a minor Scribner's error in the third whereas statement.
I'm sorry, didn't hear you.
The T in the word percent.
It's not in the one that I'm looking at. I'm gonna sign it, so I'll look for that. And if there is, then we'll note that as a Scrivener's error. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this does require a roll call, so I'd ask the clerk please call the roll.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
And the resolution is adopted. And that brings to an end the business on our regular agenda. I want to thank everyone, no non-public. I want to thank everyone for their time and attention this evening. We stand adjourned.